Ever wonder if your language app is kinda holding you back? Today, we're going to dive into the surprising science of why doing things the hard way is actually the smartest way to learn.
So, let's just start with a feeling I bet a lot of you know all too well. You've been at it for months, maybe even a year, tapping away on some language app. You've got the streaks, you've earned the points, but when it comes time to actually use it, like ordering a coffee, you just freeze. Why does that happen? What's going on there?
Well, the answer, it turns out, lies in this huge difference between passively consuming something and actively building something. You see, one feels like learning, but it's really just like watching a ton of workout videos and then being surprised you're not fit. The other way, that's actually getting in there and going to the gym. It's tough, right? It's the effortful, sometimes difficult process of building sentences and forging brand new connections inside your brain.
This whole idea of effort, it's like the trainer's secret, It's what cognitive scientists call the good kind of hard.
Okay, so the fancy scientific term for this is desirable difficulties. It was coined by a researcher, R.A. Bjork, and it's this really powerful idea that our brains, they just don't build strong, lasting memories when things are easy. Real learning, the kind that sticks, it only happens when we have to struggle, just a little bit, to pull that information out.
And get this, the data totally backs this up. If a task is too easy, your brain just goes on autopilot and you retain very little. If it's way too hard, you just get frustrated and, you quit. But there's this learning sweet spot, the Goldilocks zone, if you will. It's when you're making mistakes about 15 to 20% of the time. That's the zone where your brain is firing on all cylinders, fully engaged, and literally rewiring itself.
Okay, so how do we actually find that sweet spot in practice? Let's try thinking about this a different way. Forget studying. Let's think of it as working out in a cognitive gym, with different stations specifically designed to train different mental muscles.
All right, first stop in our gym, workout number 1. This is all about the foundation, vocabulary, and this is the key, we're going to build it without that crutch of constantly translating everything.
So here's how we usually do it, right? The slow path. You see a new word, like lion. What do? You translate it back to your own language, and then you picture the animal. It's this clunky 3-step detour your brain has to take every single time you want to use that word.
But there's a much, much better way. It's called direct mapping. And this is based on a concept called dual coding theory. Basically, it forces your brain to skip your native language entirely. You're building a direct neural superhighway from the new word straight to the image to the concept itself. It's faster, it's way more efficient, and honestly, it's how you start to actually think in a new language.
Okay, next up at the cognitive gym, we're leveling up. We've got the words, now how do we put them together? It's time to build that grammar muscle.
And we can do this using this really fascinating idea called embodied cognition. Now, this is a wild concept. It's the theory that physical actions can actually help our brains get a handle on abstract concepts. It's that powerful, proven link between our minds and our bodies. So think about it. When an app has you physically drag words into the right order to make a sentence, that's not just a cute little game. That physical movement of your finger, it's like a mental rep. It helps your brain feel and internalize the abstract rules of sentence structure in a way that just reading about it never, ever could. And this stuff works. It really works. Studies on these so-called syntax scrambling exercises show they can slash grammatical errors in your spontaneous, real-world speech by around 30%. That is a massive gain from such a simple physical exercise. All right, for our final workout, we are going for the gold. This is about moving beyond just understanding the language and hitting real fluency. And to do that, we have to train your brain to become a prediction machine.
This whole idea is based on a really powerful theory called predictive processing. And what it suggests is that our brains aren't just passive listeners, waiting for words to come in. Nope, they are constantly running simulations, using all the context they have to guess what word or phrase is coming next. So true fluency isn't about how fast you can react, it's about how accurate your predictions are.
So how do you train that? Well, with exercises like fill in the blanks. They don't just let you sit back and absorb. They force your brain to stop reacting and start anticipating. They strengthen that predictive circuit every single time you make an educated guess.
Okay, now for the final challenge, the boss level, if you will. This is where all these different skills, vocabulary, grammar, prediction, all come together in one big integrated super exercise.
The source material we're looking at here calls this a multimodal interface for linguistic surgery. I know, that's a mouthful. but it's a great way to think about it. It's basically a tool that lets you get inside a text and perform surgery on it, see how all the pieces work from a bunch of different angles at once.
It's got 3 modes. First, you've got detective mode. This is where you actively notice grammatical features, which is just crucial for actually learning them. Then there's context mode, where you physically draw lines connecting pronouns to the nouns they're talking about. You're training yourself to track the meaning. And finally, transformer mode. This is cool. You can tap a word like write and just cycle through its other forms, wrote, written, to really get a feel for its flexibility.
So, after this whole tour of our cognitive gym, what does this all mean for you? Let's bring it all back to that moment, freezing up at the coffee counter. Let's build a new training plan based on all this science.
Here are the new rules for learning effectively. Rule 1. Embrace the effort. You got to seek out that good kind of hard. 2. Build direct mental links. Really fight that urge to translate everything back in your head. 3. Use physical interaction to master abstract rules. Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty, so to speak. And 4. Train your brain to predict what's coming next, not just react to what's right in front of you. Because at the end of the day, learning isn't just about passively consuming stuff. It's about actively building something in your brain. And we've seen today that your brain is, at its core, a prediction machine. So the only question left is, what are you going to train it to predict next?